Okay, I want to talk a little bit about statutory periodic tenancies and the fact that as a landlord, you could be liable for paying the council tax when your tenant moves on to a statutory periodic tenancy. Now that sounds crazy, and I agree, it is crazy, but it's just a consequence of the way the law is at the moment. So let me explain, because there are many landlords who let their tenants move out of an assured short hold period and onto a statutory periodic tenancy. Now, there are two cases which are relevant here. The first one is Superstrike v. Rodriguez in 2013, and I'm not going to go into all the details of that case, but the case established an important point, and that is that under a statutory periodic tenancy, that is not each new month of the tenancy is not an extension of the original tenancy. Effectively, it creates a new 1 month tenancy every month. So if you have a 6 month assured short hold tenancy, at the end of that 6 months, the first day of the next month, a new 1 month tenancy is created for the tenant. And then when they get to the next month, a new 1 month tenancy is created. So the individual 1 month extensions to the, the individual 1 month tenancies, they're created every time at the beginning of each month. Now, another case in 2016, Leeds City Council versus a landlord called Broadley. And it was argued in that case that the landlord was responsible for the council tax when the tenant had left their contract early. Up to the point that the tenant had left, he was paying council tax. He left his contract early, and rather than pursuing the tenant for the council tax, which was due to the end of his tenancy, they pursued the landlord. And the reason was because the tenant had moved on to a statutory periodic tenancy. And according to the Local Finance Act, where a tenancy is less than 6 months, it's not the tenant's responsibility to pay council tax, but the landlord's responsibility. So as I said, with a statutory periodic tenancy, every month is not an extension of the existing tenancy, it's a new 1 month tenancy created every month. So a 1 month tenancy is a smaller duration than 6 months, and therefore the council argued that the landlord was responsible for paying the council tax. Now, there's a simple solution to this, and that is that the tenancy agreement should include a clause in there which says that at the end of the assured short hold period, you move into a contractual periodic tenancy. And what a contractual periodic tenancy does is every new month of the tenancy is added to the previous period. So if you had a 6 month assured short hold tenancy, then when you get to the start of the 7th month, it adds a month to that existing tenancy. So it's become a 7 month tenancy, and then an 8 month tenancy, and then a 9 month tenancy. So you avoid having tenancies which are less than 6 months. Now, not many tenants know about this, so I think it's quite unlikely that tenants would start claiming that you're responsible for the council tax once they've moved on to a statutory periodic tenancy. It's more likely that councils would, if they're struggling to get a council tax arrears from a tenant who's left, and they know that they moved on to a statutory periodic tenancy, then they may come chasing you for the council tax arrears then. So what I would say is you need to make sure, well, first of all, check what your contract says. If it doesn't say that they move on to a contractual periodic tenancy, and you've got tenants who are on a statutory periodic tenancy, then I would try and renew their contracts, even if it's just for 6 months. Get them onto a new assured short hold tenancy, and make sure that you include the language in the tenancy of moving to a contractual periodic tenancy at the end of that. And obviously any new tenancies that you create, make sure you've got the language in as well. So really important to make sure your paperwork is right, and that's something our standard contract, which we use for all of our landlords, has the correct language in, so you'll never get caught out by this.